Thank you for joining me on another Novel Escape. My name is Trevon Grant, and today we're going to be looking at Waking Gods by Sylvain Neuvel. Alright, so Waking Gods again follow the story of Rose Franklin, Kara, and Ryan, and also our unknown interviewer, as they have now discovered that this giant is of alien descent. And so, if you didn't read the first... Dude, I probably spoiled that for you. So if you didn't read the first book, I would definitely not look at this review. Okay, so because there might be spoilers for the first book. But if you have, then go ahead and check this one out. So again, Waking Gods sort of continues the story. A lot of my dislikes from the first book sort of carries over to the second book. So I'm just going to give you a quick overview and then a rating system on this book. So this, again, we follow that now... from the first book, again, spoiler alert, if you want to be spoiled, then it's fine. So in the first book, we find out that this is a weapon of mass destruction, or it has the potential for a weapon of mass destruction. Rose, Kara, and Ryan has found all the parts, put them all together, and because now this giant robot with such huge power potential is going to pull the world into this fight, they decide that they're going to donate this robot to the UN, and the UN is going to start the first ever space defense corporation or whatever, right? Space Defense League. So which only has about 3 or 4 people, which is pretty cool. Because they figure, okay, the way this robot is constructed, the feet, for instance, are twisted. They're twisted backwards, and so that goes to show, like, the people who built it had a different leg structure than what humans have, right? So then they're figuring that this is, of course, a machine that was built by extraterrestrial people from outer space and what have you. And as a result, again, nations are turning against each other in order to get this robot and so on. So they decided, hey, we might need this robot to be Earth's defense. Now, about 10 years have passed, right? In the previous book, man, there's so many things to go over. Previous book, also Rose Franklin died in the previous book, right? She just straight up got killed in the whole situation in an accident. She gets blown to smithereens, literally vaporized by the robot mistakenly. And so, but before that happened, it turns out that descendants of the alien race. Jeez, this is so twisty and it's hard for me to say. But descendants of the previous race had body scanned her, right, and reconstructed her in the present, which again is a part of the narrative that proves that humans have no souls or whatever. Because if there was an immaterial part sold to you, then you wouldn't be able to do a full high-res body scan of a person. Which again, it works in the story, but I don't know if we can develop that kind of technology, high-level body scan people and stuff. So anyways, that's part of the stuff that I don't like. But it has the same page turner. This book has the same discovery of new things, because the new thing that happened is the destruction of the world, right? For 10 years they were living in peace with this robot. The UN had it. They were discovering new things, how to use it, stuff like that. Then all of a sudden in London, a robot, boom, appears out of nowhere, landing in one of their football stadiums. I forget the name of it. And then it just sits there for weeks doing absolutely nothing, just standing there. And then another robot shows up in South Africa. Another robot shows up somewhere else, right? And another robot. And like 10 robots show up all over the place, right? And not... Like 10 robots or whatever show up all over the place. and everybody's nervous. No one knows how to react. They're like, okay, of course, generals, their first thing generals do, they fire missiles at it. Let's nuke the thing before it destroys everything. And so they try to fire some missiles at it. They try to come at it. What does the robot do? Absorb all the energy and redirect it right back at them and completely wipe out over 100,000 people. Whew. All right, so then after that, more stuff happens. And then again, the same thing that I love about books like this, and I told you that I like it about the first book, is that the antagonists seem truly dangerous, and you felt the danger that Rose Franklin and her team were in. It's the same danger that you're feeling like, whoa, these robots just wiped out that many people in that short a time, in literally a span of like 2 or 3 minutes. Hundreds of thousands of people were dead, and it's like, you feel the scope of the tragedy, you feel the scope of the danger that they were in, and I was honestly nervous for them and really intrigued as to how is this author gonna find a way to defeat these things when they only have one robot and yet they're surrounded by like 10, right? How does that work? So anyways, the story continues and you're gonna have to find out because I'm not gonna spoil it for you. Really good story. Again, things I didn't like about it was the same thing with the first, the whole Nietzsche situation where God is dead and this is the result of why, that God is dead. But now we start to get a new sense of the God is dead situation, and a little bit change of the story, a little bit a tinge of the story towards the end of the book, which I'm not going to reveal. I'm going to reveal in the third video on this book. So, in the previous video, I gave in Sleeping Giants, I gave it a 4.3. This one, I'm going to give it slightly lower. I'm going to go to a 4.15. Right? Got to be super specific. If you're not super specific, whatever. People are just not going to get it. So 4.15 out of 5 stars. This book was, guys, this is not a low rating. This is a really good rating for this book. It is actually really high. It is, but it's just like the stuff that I put at 5 stars was so good that it's hard to beat those books. But you know what I'm saying? It's not quite up there at, some of those other great literary books that I've read. But it's still very enjoyable. I enjoyed it. Just know that it's gonna challenge your thoughts a little bit, especially as it relates to atheism and God and science and science and religion, I guess. Which, in my opinion, they're not mutually exclusive. They are different categories, but this book tries to put them in the same category and put them head to head. So just know that it's going to challenge your thoughts in regards to that. Yeah. So, thanks for joining me on another Novel Escape. Peace.